this story, right, is just the next verses after the Emmaus story. In fact, the last verse of the Emmaus story is the first verse of this pericope, this capture, right? So that we recognize him in the breaking of the bread. And then he shows back up, and it's just like back to square one for them. Ah! What is that? You can imagine like, oh my gosh, I was just with you. Speaking of incredulous for joy, Jesus has to be incredulous with their stupidity. Like, come on, I was just with you. But there's something about when the blank stare moves to understanding. That's the conundrum of epistemology, how you come to know anything. Right? That they, oh, right, yes, okay. And we all have had aha moments in our lives. Certainly around things of an academic nature, maybe just in terms of laws or how things work, Often we find out these things maybe in the negative, but not always. And certainly how we understand God, there's aha moments. We come to understand God better, or Jesus, the Holy Spirit, what it means to carry your cross, what sacrificing looks like, love, all of that. We have these aha moments where maybe it didn't make any sense to us, and now it does. Now it does. You go, oh, yes. And so while I'm poking a little fun at these guys, I'm right along with them, because there are always those things in my life that I have known, I've experienced, and the next time they come up, I'm no better for it. Right? That didn't shape my next invitation. It's kind of the nature of how we approach things. But it's the end of this gospel that haunts me. It's when he says, you are witnesses of these things. Because here's the thing about a witness. They testify. That's what witnesses do. My first year in college, I think we'd been in school like 2 weeks, and a friend of mine from high school, we were driving to see our high school, happened to be playing the local high school, which was not our town. And so we're driving over there, and on our drive over, an accident happens in front of us. And in the end, everyone was fine. But it was a little guy on a bike, and he got hit by a car. All is all right. This was many years ago. He's fine. But anyway, as it happened, and the police show up, they start interviewing. And so I gave a statement. And I didn't give much thought to it after that. But like 9 months later, there's a trial, because insurance wanted to decide whether or not they were going to cover this. And I was a little naive about this. I just assumed, like, oh, you want to hear what I saw? Because I did see it. We were literally the car behind the car that this happened to. And I was in the passenger seat, was looking forward. I was right there. And, of course, I say everything that I saw. And the insurance person, of course, this is when I realized, they're not always looking out for me as the witness, are they? He kind of led me into a trap of when he said, what was the distance and what was this? And he said, well, but do you know that the skid pattern of the car suggested he was traveling at this speed? And what? I'm like, what? I don't know anything about that. I'm just telling you what I saw 9 months ago, that I had kind of, forgot some of it. I don't know. But the thing about a witness is they're not repeating a formula or a narrative of what someone else said. In that trial, they didn't call the car behind us or people who weren't there. They said to the person that was right there, what did you see? And that's Jesus' point here. That witnesses testify not to what others have seen and heard, but to what they have seen and heard. And so that is just piece one of the evidence of what we're called to be as followers of Jesus Christ. This living relationship with the guy who resurrects. Scared the bejesus out of them. Well, here he is again. What about us? What is it that we're testifying to? What are we giving witness to? Because it wouldn't seem that Jesus needs that, but he does. We are the hands and the feet, right? Of course, that's what he wants to show them are the things that they would have to absolutely connect back to him. The crucifixion. Look, check it out. And in case you think I'm a ghost, give me something to eat. I'll prove to you I'm not. And then go tell people what you've seen and what you've experienced. And how often in the gospel stories that's what it is. Remember that weird fight over the blind guy? And the Jewish leaders are trying to trap him, and they ask his parents, and they're like, keep us out of it. Like, it's all going around this idea of witness. And in the end, as they're trying to push the guy himself into trouble, he goes, look, all I can tell you is what happened. And that's all any of us can do, is to say, this is what I know. I've said this before. One of my dear ministry partners in Jamaica, if you ask him his denomination, like when we're there, kids may say, are you Catholic? And he says, no, I'm not Catholic. And they say, oh, what denomination are you? And he always says, and I love this, I'm just one beggar showing other beggars where I found the bread. That's my denomination. I'm just one beggar showing other beggars where I found the bread. And in the end, that's what we witness to, is how we're being fed. And so whether or not we name that or say it that way, that's what we are witnessing to others. And so if they experience us as people full of fear, full of resentment, full of whatever, things that are definitely not of the gospel, then that's what we witness to. But if we spend our life and our effort to be the hands and feet of Christ, to be self-sacrificing, to be instruments of love and mercy and peace, then that's what people will know. They won't have to ask you. They'll just, oh, wow, there it is. There it is. I always think of Pope Paul VI, and he said this, I don't know, late 60s, early 70s, but he said, modern man, and of course, he was being a little exclusive in the use of the language, but, that the modern person more willingly listens to witnesses than teachers. And to the extent they listen to teachers, it's because they're first witnesses. And as someone that's spent his whole ministry in education, I keep that quote close by to remember that to just simply convey what others have experienced or to share the formula or the narrative of others, it just doesn't lead people very far. And that doesn't matter whether you're talking about geometry or world history or our faith in Jesus Christ. If we can't witness to how it has shaped our lives, I don't know how it would encourage anyone to look the same way. One of my favorite teachers in high school was a math teacher, which is ironic. I didn't care for math. It really wasn't for me. But I loved his passion for it. And the fact he was so passionate about it made me feel bad that I didn't like it. Right? That's what you would want out of it, is to go, my gosh, he loves this stuff. I feel terrible that I don't. I wish I did. I wish we could share that. Right? And that's all. That's what he was communicating, his love and passion for it. So what will we communicate today? What will we witness to this day that others who meet us, whether they meet us at the gas station or at our home, that we're witnessing, as Jesus said to these guys, to the love of God, the mercy of God, the gentleness and humility of God that will heal our world as our world desperately needs. May God be praised.